All right, guys, so today I actually want to tell you how to raise chickens from all the way from the start when it's a little egg all the way to when it's a full-grown chicken, okay? And you might be wondering what you need to do to get started before you get your chickens, because there's things you need to do before you get your chickens or before you get your eggs or whatever, and that's what I'm going to tell you in this video. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the egg. Okay, that's where it all starts, with the egg. In a minute I'm gonna get to where you might be getting them from Tractor Supply or whatever, but I'm gonna start with the egg and I'm gonna go all the way up to the full-grown chicken, and that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, if you start with the egg and you want to hatch some eggs, you have to have an incubator. The incubator is the first thing you gotta have. I was thinking a brooder, but it's an incubator. Okay, and an incubator is a little round little thing. You can get it. Look up chicken incubator, and it'll come up. They're pretty cheap, $60 to $100 maybe. Some may be cheaper than that, I don't really know. But yeah, you want an incubator, you're gonna buy one of those, and if you're wondering, it'll tell you the instructions, but set it to 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I think it's like 40 to 60% humidity, and that's what you wanna do on that. So you wanna get your incubator, look up the humidity. I think it's 40 to 60, but it goes up as you have the egg, before the eggs hatch, and it takes the eggs 21 days to hatch. So you're gonna feel it, and the humidity thing will be, it'll have like a little water thing on the side where you put some water, and you put a certain amount, and it'll have a little thing on the top for your humidity, and that's for most of them at least. But yeah, they hatch in 21 days, and you want it at 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit, and so yeah, you just leave them there. I checked them every 7 days when I did it, and I'd put it has a little light to where you can see like all the veins that are in it, and the embryo, all that kind of stuff. I don't really know what it is, but you start to see the chicken grow, so I checked them every 7 days, and after 21 days, they hatched, and what I was worried about is when mine started hatching, the humidity went up to like 80%, I think. And you don't want it to be up too high because then it can hurt. It's harder for them to hatch and stuff like that. So you want the humidity to stay at the right temperature. And so I took all the water out. There was a little plug. I took all that water out and it went back down, but no, I don't think it did. I don't know if it did. But yeah, so once you do that, you put them in the incubator, and it has a turner, and after 19 days, you take that turner out. If there's something that turns the eggs, you take that turner out, and you leave them. They don't have to be turned anymore. So you do that, and then once they hatch, that's what I'm going to get to next. So once they hatch, this is where you would be getting them from Tractor Supply. So if you're getting them from Tractor Supply now, or this is like a week later, but it's the same little chicken, it's the same thing. Okay, so you're either getting them from Tractor Supply, or they've already hatched. So now I'm at this point. Now you want what you have, and you want this already set up, a brooder. Okay, and you can use different stuff for this. One time I had a little gray tote. One time I built something out of metal. Another time I built something out of wood. Another time I built something out of wood and had a little metal wire thing, and it worked. All of them worked pretty good, but you want it to be big enough. A little box that the chickens can't jump out of is pretty much the whole point of it. And then you want to put some kind of soft something in the bottom. I used wood shavings, which you can get from Tractor Supply, hardware stores, chicken stores, whatever you got. You can get it somewhere pretty easily. Some kind of those pine shavings, wood shavings, whatever. But some people use like newspaper, so you can just pick up the newspaper, take it out, because they're gonna poop on it and stuff like that. So some people use newspaper. There's a lot of different things like that you can use. You can look that up and it'll tell you. But yeah, I use pine shavings. I thought that worked fine. And then you want to have that, and you want to have an easy water. Get a little baby chicken water. They make little small ones. I had one and it always leaked. I never had really good luck with it. But I'd use that and it would leak a little bit. And then as they got bigger, I moved it up to a little bigger water. But you want it to be close enough to the ground, but you don't want it too deep to where they can drown in it. Okay, so you want to do that. And then you want to have them some kind of feeder. One time I had this long little red feeder that I got from Tractor Supply. And then one time I didn't feel like buying anything, so I just took, what I did on this time, that spilled a little bit. But I took some lids to like some Tupperware things and just put them upside down and poured some feed on it, almost like pouring it on the ground, but it was on a little lid. And that'll work. Feed is not as much of a big deal. You can just pour it on the something and it'll be fine. They may spill it, whatever. But yeah, so you do that, and then you gotta have a heat lamp. That's another thing that I forgot about. You gotta have a heat lamp, okay? And you want your heat lamp, you can buy a heat lamp from Tractor Supply, or you can buy a heating pad. There's different heating things you can do. A heat lamp's probably the most dangerous, maybe the most effective, but if it falls off, it could catch your shavings on fire. But don't let that scare you. I secured mine, never fell off, everything was fine. And I've done it 3 or 4 times. But yeah, you wanna have a heat lamp, and you wanna have it a certain height. I always did mine. I had a little handheld thermometer, and you want it to be 95 degrees the first week. So the first week you want it to be 95 degrees, and then every week that the chickens get older, you want to drop it 5 degrees. So you're at 95, then you're gonna go to 90, then 85, then 80, and you go down every week until it gets to the temperature. Or no, that's wrong. I didn't do this. But I was gonna say until it gets to the temperature that it is outside. But I had them in that brooder until they got all their pin feathers on. If you don't know what that is, there's some baby feathers, which is like the fuzz. It's what you see when you see them in Tractor Supply, and they're real cute. You want to buy them. before they turn into dinosaurs, okay? But yeah, they have the little baby fuzz. I guess it's a feather too. I don't really know. But then they start getting their pin feathers, which what the older ones have. Hold up. I'm looking at the camera and the chicken. What the older ones have. And they start getting those pin feathers. And you'll tell. You'll tell when they start getting them. And when they get all those pin feathers on them, then you can move them outside. Or if it's cold, if it's like the middle of winter, don't move them outside. But if it's like summer, you live somewhere that's good temperature, you can move them outside and they'll be good. So yeah, that's the thing about that. You want it to be 95 degrees the first week, then reduce it 5 degrees every week. And that's it for the brooder. And then once you get them out of the brooder, here's what you got to do. So you want to take them out of the brooder. And what I did is there's a little thing right there under my chicken coop. And that's where I put mine for like the first, until they get a little bit older. There's no really like base on that. Like there's no, like, you don't have to, just use your own judgment on that. But I had mine under that thing for a little while. And then it's like, it goes around my little coop, not around, or around my little, yeah, the coop, not the run. But yeah, I had them in there for a little while. And then when they got old enough to go with these chickens, which are over there, I put them in there with them. My first ones, I built a little thing, just a little run, and outside, make sure it's really safe from predators, okay? If you want to free range them, don't let them out until they're not full grown, but you want them chickens to be pretty grown if you're going to free range them. Because something will snatch them chickens up. But yeah, you want them, if you have them in the coop, secured, really good, you can bring them outside once they get their pin feathers on. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. If you're free ranging them, wait a little bit longer, or make a coop, make a little coop or something. Because you want them to be outside. Don't leave them in the little brooder, because they're gonna start jumping out. What I do with mine is I didn't feel like, or it wasn't that I didn't feel like it. I didn't know when I was gonna move them, and they started jumping out of the brooder. So I was like, all right, we need to get these things out of here. So I put some wire around that little thing right there, and I moved them out of there. And then eventually I got them in there with my chickens. What I actually did was I put them in here with the big chickens, and they were still a little young, and they started pecking them, and they pecked one until it started bleeding. So I had to put them over there, and they were fine. They grew up, they were fine. But yeah, make sure your other chickens will bully them, okay? It's kind of sad, but they do it. But anyway, so yeah, that's that. And if you're free ranging them, make sure you have them secure until they get a little bit older, and then they're good. And I was going to tell you, that little water back there, once they got a little bit bigger in the brooder, that's the water I was using. I was just going to tell you that. And the first week, if you want to, I did this sometimes I didn't do it. But you can put some like medicated something or another. I don't really know. You don't have to do that. If you want to, you can. But I did that one time, didn't do it the other time. They both did fine, I think. But yeah, that's that. Okay, and then once they're grown, you got 2 options. I've already talked about this. You either put them in the coop or run, or you're letting them free range. What I would suggest is free ranging. Free range is always better to me, or I think it is, than a run. I kind of feel bad in the run, but Bo, which is right back here, can't see him. I don't know that he'd eat them, but he might eat them, okay? Or something might come over here. If I didn't have dogs that would eat them, or that I don't know that would eat them, I'd let them free range. But yeah, I have mine in a coop because I don't want my dogs to eat them. I don't want predators to eat them. And I want to get eggs, and I don't want them all to die, and then I have to restart. So yeah, I have mine in a run, but if you can free range them, I think it's better. It's way better for them, probably. It's better. The eggs will be better. But if you build a coop, you can build a coop. There's plans online. I have a video when I was younger of me building this coop, so you can go watch that if you want to. And so yeah, you can do that, and you can make I think it's like you want 1 square foot per chicken, maybe 2 square foot per chicken, something like that. Look that up. But yeah, I didn't really even measure that. I just make it bigger than that. Make it, if you can't, then it's fine. But just make it a pretty good size. Get you a few chickens, put them in there, or a bunch of chickens. But just make it big enough for, you can tell what's big enough for them. But yeah, I actually added on. You can see some stuff that's not painted back there. I added on to my chicken coop. Because I just had this, and then it went to that pole over there. But I ended up adding on because I wanted to have more room. And I still hadn't took that middle wall out, but there's a door right there. But yeah, so just make a pretty good run, pretty good coop. And then in your coop, you want to have nesting boxes. I think it's like 1 nesting box per chicken. And all of mine lay in the same nesting box, so it doesn't matter. But I think I have like 4 in there, maybe 5 nesting boxes. And then the nesting material, you can use those same pine shavings if you want to. I use pine straw because I have it, it's free. So I use pine straw and it works fine. They have like artificial nesting material thing, like a little strip of it. I've thought about getting that before. I never did though. And that is pretty easy. You can find some kind of soft shavings or pine straw, something like that, and it'll work pretty good. But then you get on to what you want to feed them, okay? I feed mine 22% layer pellets. At first I was feeding them, when I say 22%, I mean protein. But yeah, at first I was feeding them like 16%, something like that. and they just weren't laying. I didn't know what was wrong. It had been, I don't know how many months it'd been. It'd been over the time where they should have started laying before then. But yeah, I was feeding them some feed, and then I switched it up to 22% layer pellets, and I had the Ware Millings. It's in like a red maroon bag, and I got that, and they started laying when I got that. So yeah, get 22%. The Ware Millings works good for me, but you can get what you want to. It don't really matter. Just make sure it's 22% protein, and that'll be good for them. And try to feed them, like if you have some grass, let's say you have a coop and you have some grass going around it, throw them some grass in there, or go pick them some grass or something. They always like that. But yeah, on the feed, just give them some 22% layer pellets, and they should be good. Keep them some kind of watering thing. I have a little, I'll show you that, but I have a little 5-gallon bucket cut out, and it has some water, so it's about half full. And so and it works pretty good. And then I have that thing I fill up sometimes. Make sure they got water and somehow. It don't really matter how. And then that's pretty much it. And then make sure they got a roost. If they're free ranging, well, never mind. Most people that free range put them in a coop at night. But yeah, in the coop, make sure they have a roost, which is, I don't know, they like it pretty good.